Hello, happy campers. Give me half a tick. I am just going to... The players are setting up on the battlefield right now, but I'm just going to nip to the toilet. TMI. But and then I will be with you guys shortly. Hold on. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I hope you're doing really well. Thank you very much for joining us here today on the Hobby Room. I would love to come to my face cam, but unfortunately, I have the camera cables that we use to go from A to B, from the cameras to the Elgato. I have like 8 of them, and only 3 of them are working. So I thought I'd prioritize getting the cameras or the players on the tabletop sorted rather than you guys seeing my face, because there's absolutely no need for that. But I am on my own today. I have no friends. No, Moog unfortunately has COVID, and Karagon is otherwise engaged and occupied. So I am taking to the stream on my own. Indeed, Mr. Lamatastic, you can't see my face, therefore it's appropriate for kids. So I hope everybody's doing okay. If you guys are in and about and lurking, please say hello. I hope you guys are doing absolutely wonderful. I'm going to say hello to everybody in the chat so far. We've got House Firehawk, Thousand Sons of Dawn, Tobias 1087, Mr. Lamatastic, good morning Karagon, Clive the Kiwi, Coral Dawn, and anybody else in here. I hope you're doing really, really well. Thank you very much for joining us. As Mr. Lamatastic has said, we will be doing a giveaway for a Heresy box tomorrow after Game 5. So if you want to be in a chance with winning a Heresy box, either pre-order one today in about half an hour if you're in the UK, or just buy one and then enter the raffle, because both of those things are applicable. Literally. Before we get down to the top down, and we'll be right back, I just need to adjust one thing on my microphone. Who doesn't want 2 Heresy boxes, really? Anyway, I hope you're doing great. Let us actual hold music. We have a fair amount of music for everything. I need to do a couple of things, actually. I want to make sure you guys aren't hearing the players. Right, there we go. We should be able to now have me talk, you not hear the players, I can still hear the players, and we can have some fun. Well, I hope you guys are doing great. Thank you very much for joining us here on the Hobby Room. We are covering heat number 3 of the Warrior Lodge's Quest of Champions now. Obviously, as usual, we've got a lot of stats here. There are 36 players registered, I believe. 35, excuse me, players registered on the stream. In the event, apologies. So it's a slightly bigger one than the last time they had, and nearly at capacity here for Sanctuary, which is really nice to see. You know, a potential sellout here for the event, because the Warrior Lodge guys are absolutely wonderful. They run some cracking events, and they have opened me in with open arms. The players here giving us a cheeky close-up here of Duncan's army and the Nighthaunt getting put down. Thank you very much for that, Duncan. Shaky cam as always. But Mr. Lamatastic, thank you very much for your offer in DM. I will have to potentially look at that at lunchtime and see what I can do. I might be having Moog here. Karagon, thank you very much for the... Oh, I'll have to... we don't have alerts on. You need a crab rave. We'll sort you a crab rave out later on. Thank you very much. I appreciate that for your entries into the raffle. We'll get that sorted in a second, and I'll over lunchtime, and I'll get that sorted, as well as the getting somebody else here to sit and talk to me, basically. But other than that, should we go through some stats before we... Oh, actually, should we go through the list? We have Duncan and Daniel playing here today on the first game of the day. We have Skaven, which is quite nice to see, against the brand new Nighthaunt book, which Daniel has taken a couple of... Daniel has taken a couple of times and had a couple of games with them, but hasn't played a huge amount with with the brand new book, which is quite scary, especially bringing it to a tournament where you're looking to qualify for a heat. Now, as far as I'm aware, I don't think Daniel has qualified. He came to Heat 1, didn't manage to make it to Heat 2, but I think he's possibly coming to Heat 4 as well. The new Nighthaunt book might be able to hold him some stead in terms of being able to get places in the rankings and move his way up to eventually get one of those qualifying places that are so eagerly sought after, actually, ready for the final later on this year, which is quite nice. Let us go for the schedule first of the weekend, actually, because I'm a bit out of sorts this morning, so I apologise. But that is actually Quest 3, and the dates are wrong. I apologise, that's the wrong image for some reason. But we have got Game 1 today, starting at 9:30, which the players are already starting. We've got lunch at 12:30, then Game 2 at 1:15, Game 3 at 4:30. And then on Sunday, so tomorrow, we've got Game 4 at 10 AM, lunch at 1 PM, and then Game 5 at 1:45. Nice and simple. Apologies about the dates on that. I will get those fixed when I go through all of that sort of stuff later on. But I hope you guys are doing good. Tournaments are indeed the best way to learn any army, Aragon. You are not wrong. You are absolutely not wrong. And jumping in the deep end is the best way of learning, Tobias. Very, very true. There is also a prediction in chat, in case you guys want to know or are wondering who can possibly win. You have got a choice of Duncan with Skaven or Daniel with Nighthaunt. Now, Duncan has brought a relatively nice... I like his list. It's a clan scryer list. In fact, let's go through the lists. Let's see what we've got to start with. Who is list A? We have Duncan with list A. It looks like a lot of models. But it's not. There is actually not a lot of models here for a Skaven army. Both myself and Daniel, when Duncan pulled this army out onto his side of the table, looked at it and he was like, hang on a minute, where are the rest of the rats? There's not a lot of rats here. And it's quite right. There aren't a lot of rats, and that's because 630 points are stoked up in Storm Fiends, of course. But let's start on the left-hand side. We have a Battle Regiment, and it's a 3-drop army here for Duncan. He is wildly under points, so I assume he's going to be getting his Triumph, which I believe is +1 to wound. He has the Arch Warlock as his general, with the Derange Inverter, a Warp, an Esoteric, there we go, Warp Generator, and he knows the more Warp Power. We have a Bombardier who knows the more Warp Power, and another Bombardier who knows the more Warp Power. Nice and simple, nice and easy. But that's so that he can just be able to get more damage across the table, which is quite nice. And then moving on to the battle line sections, we have 2 units of 5 Scryer Acolytes. They're the cheapest clan Scryer that you can possibly have. As battle lines, so that's quite nice to have there. And then you've got the 6 Storm Fiends. That's 1 unit of 6 Storm Fiends at 630 points there. And the way that Storm Fiends work, you have to have an even number of weapons across the arm, like variation of weapons across the unit. You can't just spam the Gatling guns, or you can't just spam the shot gauntlets. You have to do a another more warp power. There you go. Yeah, so you've got to have an even spread of armaments, if you like, over the course of that unit. Then we've got 3 auxiliary units. So we've got a Rattling Gun, another Rattling Gun, and a Doom Wheel. I imagine the Doom Wheel's there to be able to just roam around the battlefield at a relative pace, depending on what you decide to roll, and just shock and awe 1 unit out of the way, whilst the rest of your army does the work in the shooting phase. And then we've got a set of Warlock Jezzails, which is really nice to see. I do like Jezzails as a unit of 6. Sorry. And a Warp Lightning Cannon as well. So that might either blow itself up, or it might just blow something up. That's pretty much how Warp Lightning Cannons work. It's either one or the other. And Hold the Line is the grand strategy to try and keep those, I imagine, 6 Storm Fiends alive. One thing you could have potentially done was Dominating Presence, but you don't actually have that many units here on the battlefield to acquire Dominating Presence with, so Hold the Line is probably the better choice. Now moving on to I was going to say scene number 2. List number 2, Daniel Elkington here, with the brand new Nighthaunt book using the Quicksilver Dread rules, which is quite nice. We get to see this book in action for the very, very first time here, which is super nice. Now, the Quicksilver Dread's allegiance ability is that ward rolls cannot be made for wounds caused by attacks made with melee weapons by friendly Dread Scythe Harridans. And this man has 50 of them. Has 50 Dread Scythe Harridans, but we'll get through that in just a second. We've got a Spirit Torment who is the general and terrifying entity. That means he terrifies units within 6 inches rather than 3. We've got the Cruelgrast Cruciator, a Dreadblade Harrow with the Beacon of Nagashazar, so that's to be able to bring things back into the units, but also the Dreadblade Harrow can teleport. Instead of moving, he just picks himself up and places himself anywhere on the battlefield, more than 9 away from enemy models, and then can use that healing tool when he needs to. We've then got a Spirit Torment, who has been made a wizard with the Arcane Tome and has the Seal of Shaiish. And then we've got Lady Olinda with Shade Mist, which is quite nice. They're rounding off the leaders there. Then we've got a pair of 20 strong Dread Scythe Harridan units, and another Dread Scythe Harridan unit that is only 10 strong. We've then got some Spirit Hosts. Apologies. We've got Spirit Hosts, and then we've got 2 units of Maimorn Banshees. Now, these are quite nice in terms of their War Scroll has been changed, actually, which is really, really nice. I really like the Banshee visual. I think they're really, really nice. You know, there's an 8-inch move pretty much across this army, but they can fly, obviously, for the majority of the army, and they have something called Spell Eaters now, which is you can roll 2d6 every time an enemy wizard successfully casts a spell that is not unbound. So, you get the opportunity to unbind a spell, right? Then this applies. So, you roll 2d6 for each enemy wizard that successfully casts a spell that is not unbound and chooses the effect of this spell to apply to a unit wholly within 12 of this unit. So Maimorn Banshees now take a defensive supplementary role behind units you want to keep nice and safe, as long as they're within 12 inches of that unit. Or when an endless spell finishes a move within 6 inches of this unit. Add 1 to the roll if this unit has 3 or more models. You start with 4, which is nice. So there you go. You can lose 1 model before you lose the +1. But if the roll is greater than the casting value for that spell, not casting roll, casting value, that spell is unbound. Now what that means is if you have a spell that casts on a 6 and you roll an 11 for it, you can try and unbind it on a 12. You fail, sure. Then you fall back on the Banshees if they're selected. If the unit that's wholly within 12 is selected as the target, they then roll a dice for 2d6. They need to get the casting value, so they need to get that 6, not... sorry, they need to get greater than, so they need to get a 7, not the 11 that you would usually get on the unbinding roll. So you essentially get 2 chances to unbind, which is quite nice. I think we'll see the Maimorns come in, you maybe have 1 or 2 units there so that you can have a little bit of redundancy, and it's only 210 points. They've got relatively good attacks as well. You know, I mean, they're only 2 attacks each, 4s and 3s, but they're -2 damage. Sorry, -2 rend and 2 damage each. So they definitely have the capability to put out some hurt across the army, which is quite nice. Quite nice indeed. So we'll see what we'll see how that comes into play, because there are a couple of powers here. In fact, there's 3 wizards here on the side of Duncan, so he's got the ability to be able to do some spells. It's the Maimorns don't have to be in range of a friendly targeted unit, wholly within range of a unit. So if he tries to buff one of his units with a unit of Maimorns near, those Banshees can then stop that spell from going off and make it difficult for Duncan to get the buffs off, which is really, really good there for Daniel and not so good for Duncan. And we've seen that Duncan has had priority because he has a low amount of drops. He's deployed relatively at the back of the board. He's gone to Daniel. Okay, mate, You go first. I'll see what you do from here. And has put himself on the back of the board, keeping himself nice and safe there. And he's made Daniel go first. Daniel's then chosen aggressive expansion. I assume it's to choose the 2 objectives that we can see swamped. The one on the left that he's just barely touching with some Mile Banshees, and then the one in the centre there because it isn't wholly in their territory. Speaking of territory, whilst the players are doing their first movement, mission. We've not talked about the mission. I'm sorry. We're playing Savage Gains, ladies and gentlemen, this time. Also, and once upon a time, known as Battle for the Pass. So basically, there are 4 objectives on the battlefield, as you can see on the diagram to the right. The 2 in the middle are worth 2 victory points each. The one in your opponent's territory, or on your opponent's territory, is worth 1 victory point to them, or 4 victory points to you, and yours likewise, but inversed. So yours is worth 1 to you, 4 to your opponent. So if you manage to get onto your opponent's backline objective in turn 1, for example, there is a total 9 points available simply just for scoring the primaries, which is really, really nice. And then you've got your battle tactics on top of that, potentially 11. Potentially kill a monster, 12. You do your battle tactic with a monster, 13. You potentially have some Prime Hunter VPs. You can quickly rack up VPs if you are in the right frame of mind. Now, Nighthaunt, being the new book, have lost their... I was going to say, they've lost their Prime Hunters, but it doesn't matter because Skaven are also Prime Hunters. Nobody is a priority target. So any of those VPs aren't coming into play. Pretty simple. But yeah, this is a this isn't your traditional Age of Sigmar. This is one of the ones that strays from the pathway, so to speak. And you have got a, instead of a hold 1, hold 2, hold more, you have a hold the middle ones for 2, your opponents for 4, and your home one for 1. So we've seen a couple of buffs go down here onto the Dreadsize Harridans. Keep them relatively reserved. You are going to be opening up to absolute firepower, so we'll see how much Duncan can go through. How much he can go through, basically, in turn 1. Like, can he do a lot of damage? Can he do no damage at all? It's going to be interesting to see just how much Daniel's going to be able to weather the storm. Now you've got a potential charge coming in there on the right hand side as one of the units came on from reserve, I believe. Nighthaunt have an ability nowadays to, let me get this right, allegiance abilities, battle traits. They're called battle traits. The processions, wave of terror. So after a friendly Nighthaunt unit finishes a charge, you can look up the roll. And you can either shriek, stun, or petrify. Wow, okay. So on a 4 to 7, -1 hit rolls made by the targeted unit in the following combat phase. 8 to 9, subtract 1 from save rolls. My word. And then a 10 plus, strike last. That's really good. That's really good. That's nice. I like that. Nighthaunt's on the charge ability just used to be on a 10 plus, you get to fight before you do anything. But now the ability to debuff your opponent as you run in and scare them is quite nice. Then we've got Frightful Touch. If an unmodified hit roll for an attack made by a friendly Nighthaunt unit is a 6, it automatically wounds. There you go. Just automatically wounds, and that's army wide. Why would you not want that? You throw as many dice as you can. You don't care about your wound rolls. You're just going to hit those 6s. And then you've got Vanishing Phantasms. So at the end of the deployment phase, before determining who controls objectives, you can remove 3 friendly Nighthaunt units from the battlefield and set them up an ambush as reserves. At the end of your movement phase, you can set up 1 or more of these reserve units on the battlefield more than 9 inches away from all enemy units. So that's where we see the Dreadscythe Harridans come down nicely there. And then we have got Daniel's turn nice and succinct. He got his battle tactic. Holds 2. Holds home. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. 7 points is correct indeed. Nice and simple. My app works. Good. It's barely changed since last time, so I'm glad it works. We've then also got Discorporate, sorry, for the Nighthaunt, and you can use this command ability when a friendly Nighthaunt unit is picked as the target of an attack in the shooting phase. That unit gets a 5-up ward instead of a 6-up ward. I should probably go to the fact that everything now in the Nighthaunt army is ethereal. Now what that means is your modifiers towards their saves don't positively or negatively affect them. So if the War Scroll says it's got a 4-up save, it's got a 4-up save. Pretty standard. If it says it's got a 5-up save, it's a 5-up save. But also, inside of this, they've rolled in the 6-up ward. So they don't have to be near a hero. They don't have to be near a gravesite. None of that stuff. It's just, hey, if you are a Nighthaunt unit, you have a 6-up ward. Which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. And what we'll not really see come to effect in this game, because Duncan's not got a massive amount of models on the tabletop, you'd see it more in Horde games, but the Aura of Dread, so the terrifying part of the Nighthaunt, is literally that you can terrify enemy units. So enemy units are terrified when they're within 3 inches of a friendly Nighthaunt unit. While a unit is terrified, it cannot issue or receive the Inspiring Presence command. Incredible. Because what that means is you can go into a unit that's, say, Bravery 7, right? Kill 7 models. That means that you can't save that unit from Battle Shock anymore. You're going to lose casualties. You're going to lose D6 casualties in the Battle Shock phase minimum. Which is really nice to see. It's quite a nice little, like, hey, this thing that would keep hordes around for days is now going to be a real problem. I think what we're also going to see quite a lot is we've had an announcement from GW that the upcoming General's Handbook is going to be predominantly focused on battle line units. Now, battle line units tend to be big blocks of stuff, okay, rather than monsters, but they tend to be big blocks of stuff. And if you can whittle it with not a great bravery, and if you can whittle those down enough, you're going to be able to sit there and be like, okay, now I'm going to stop you using Inspiring Presence. I'm going to capitalize on your bravery, and because I'm part of the Quicksilver Dead, I'm going to just straight up be ignoring your ward saves if you have any across the army with my Harridans. I actually think going into the new meta, Nighthaunt are going to be relatively strong and really, really good. Armies that rely on ward saves and the ability to like reroll ward saves and stuff. For example, Phoenix Guard with a 4-up save or a 4-up ward save, you ignore. Gotrek, you ignore his save. I think Nighthaunt have a lot of play into a lot of things, which is really quite nice. Quite nice to see. Okay, the Harridans aren't necessarily the most competent war scroll out of the book, but they're also nothing to, like, cry about. So a Dreadside Harridan now has only 1 wound each and a 4-up ethereal save, which is still really good. But they've got 3 attacks each, 4s and 4s, no rend, 1 damage. No rend really hurts them there. Because you're probably going to be looking at, okay, there's 2-up saves across the board on certain things. You -1 to wound rolls for attacks made by enemy units within 3 inches if this unit made a charge. So you can go into a unit and try and be a little bit more survivable, which is quite nice. You also add 1 to hit and wound rolls with attacks made by melee weapons by this unit if it is within 6 inches of any enemy models that have had any wounds allocated to them, or if it is within 6 inches of any enemy units that have had any models slain in this turn. So basically, you try and get some mortal wounds down on a unit, charge your Harridans in, bang. They're now 3s and 3s, 1 damage with 3 attacks each. That's pretty solid. I'd say that's pretty solid. Wouldn't you? Yeah. I'd say it's solid. And we can see now that Duncan is going through the phases of doing Mystic Shield goes off on a 12. going on to the Storm Fiends, so they're keeping them nice and safe. Why would you not want to keep them safe? They are absolutely pivotal in your army here. In actual fact, should we have a look at the Storm Fiends War Scroll? I think I've got that one to play. I'm sorry, I've not got any of the new Nighthaunt War Scrolls up to play, but I can definitely have a look with you guys through this particular War Scroll here from the Storm Fiends. So they're a 6-inch move. They are not the slowest thing in the world, but also far from the fastest thing in the world. They have 6 wounds each with a 4-up save and a bravery of 6. Now remember, there are two of each sort of weapon going on here between the rattling cannons. In fact, let's just have a really cheeky look back at Duncan's list so I can remember properly. 2 wind launchers, 2 rattling cannons, 2 shock gauntlets. Okay, so wind launchers, 24 inches, 3 attacks, 4s on 4s, -3, D3 damage, -3 rend. Irrelevant here into Daniel, irrelevant, but pretty good, pretty good. Then you've got the rattling cannons, which are 3d6 shots each. That's 6d6 shots, potentially 36 shots. 4s and 3s, -1/1. You can obviously give them all-out attack on this, so they can become 3s and 3s. Now that will be more effective. The rend isn't as good, obviously, but the 1 point of damage is really nice. Then you've got the shock gauntlets. If they do manage to get into combat, you've got 4 attacks, 4s and 3s, -1, 2 damage each. It's and simple. Also, I think Daniel's keeping up to date on the app with command points used, which is really nice to see. So thank you very much if you decide to watch that back. I really appreciate that. Daniel there. We've got 4 on Duncan. He's got loads to spend. Daniel's only got the 1. Now, the rest of these are... All of these different weapons have different abilities attached to them. So the shock gauntlets here, if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with the shock gauntlet is a 6, that attack inflicts d6 hits on the target instead of 1. And now when you are using 4 of those dice per unit... 8 of those dice per model. Yeah. You have got 4s, 3s, -1, 2 damage each. If you decide to spike your dice for a turn, you can get a potential 8d6 attacks at 2 damage each, doing a load of damage. Obviously, that's the top end of the curve, but you never know, it could happen. The wind launchers, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by wind launchers if the target unit has 10 or more models. In addition, they can target enemy models that are not visible, so you've got some line of sight, ignoring shooting there from the 630 point unit of Storm Fiends, which is pretty crazy. And then the rattling gun doesn't have an additional rule because the rattling gun is just crazy. Hello Dave, how's it going? And Bertie, I hope you're doing well. Thank you very much for joining us here. Appreciate everybody here this afternoon, this evening, this morning, wherever you are in the world. I appreciate your time here, listening to my droning tones go on and on about Warhammer, basically. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining me. It is just me today, so I apologise if there are small silences and lulls, but it is just me, myself, and I this weekend. Unfortunately, Caragon has busy with the new puppy, and that is perfectly absolutely fine. And Moog has got COVID, unfortunately, which is a shame because Moog was going to come up, stay up. We're going to have pretty solid takeaways over the course of him being here, and then we were going to commentate on some Warhammer and have some fun, which would have been really awesome. But, you know, we can't help being ill, can we? Can we? But doesn't mean I don't like Moog. I still like Moog anymore. Nope, I'm done with him. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. He's an absolute scholar and a gent. And I wouldn't be able to do these live streams if it wasn't for Caragon and Moog and you guys in the chat, actually. You guys in the chat and your support of that sort of stuff is really, really good and helpful. But Moog and Caragon also do a massive amount of work behind the scenes, helping me with commentating and stuff like that. And it just means that having somebody to talk to is really, really good and very, very important because it kind of keeps you sane. So you guys in the chat are my conversation points today. Okay, so what have we seen here? We have seen in Daniel's turn 1, Duncan had priority, gave Daniel the turn. Daniel obviously failed this 9-inch charge here from the Harridans, which means that you know, you might have created this spoopy whoopy line that Duncan's got to go through. He's decided to conquer this objective here, but what he's going to do is he's going to unleash pretty much everything he can into those Harridans. and possibly try and tip one rat onto that objective to conquer it. Conquer is a really bold move here. I'm not gonna lie. Really, really bold move. But you can't afford to do something like Ferocious Advance. Because Ferocious Advance here would mean running 3 units. And your Acolytes here, your Acolytes are here. You haven't really got the ability to run units that you don't want to run. Like the Storm Fiends and the Warp Lightning Cannon, you don't want to run them. The Jezzails, you don't want to run them. Like, because if you don't move with them, you get rerolls to hit, which is pretty good. So you need to try and think what you're doing in deployment as well. For your first battle tactic, I think it's really important. Conquer's really a difficult one. Aggressive Expansion was nice and easy for Daniel. It was a guaranteed 7 points that turn, because you can get all 3 of those points that you need. And also, sorry, Duncan's just teleporting things around the map with the null holes. Yeah, it's relatively easy. You don't have to rely on a charge. You don't have to rely on this. You don't have to rely on that. Daniel has then put Duncan in a position where you can start slipping away battle tactics. And I think that's how he's going to win this game. I think there is a sheer amount of firepower that Duncan has on his side of the battlefield, which can rip through these units, particularly if he gets a double turn. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the majority, if not all of this unit, just fall off the table, which is crazy in this turn. And then if there was the double turn here from Duncan, I can imagine the same going into this unit. And then all you're left with is your characters, some Spirit Hosts, and a unit of 10 Harridans. Not a huge amount to play with when you have the ability to go through all of that. So, you know, you could potentially be playing for the double turn. Yeah, you could potentially be... I don't know what the players are doing. You could potentially be setting yourself up for some hurt, but also Daniel's, I guess, banking on not... At this point, he's put himself in a position where he's not just tipped the objectives, and he's trying to weather the storm, he's trying to get into the face as quickly as possible, see what he can do. Mr. Alarmtastic, you are correctly right. If anybody in the chat does have any questions about the game, the event, or anything that's going on, please feel free to ask me in the chat. It will help keep me talking and help keep you guys interested and all that sort of stuff. Berserk, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate you being here loads. I appreciate you all being here. Absolutely, absolutely wonderful people. And thank you so much for taking the time this afternoon, this morning, this evening, wherever you are in the world, to come and say hello, because that's nice. And I'm sorry that you guys aren't at an event, because who doesn't love Warhammer events, right? I love Warhammer events. That's why I stream them. That's entirely why I stream them, because I really like the ability to have the option to share with you guys. I know that's weird, but it's nice to just share what's going on. Hope that makes... I'm happy painting. Hey, Gabawaki, I hope you're doing well. Asgog, I was meant to be there this weekend, but unfortunately had to cancel. I'm sorry. I apologise. I hope you are well, and I hope you are safe. Ben, do you think either of the lists in this game have got a weakness that could be exploited? So, I think Duncan's biggest weakness in this list at the moment is his sheer amount of models, and his lack of... Can you pull the screen in? Some of the commands are cut off. Oh, it's just view left, view... That's because of the font, Berserk. That's just because of the font. I will... I'll try and get that rectified if I have time and remember to during lunch. Apologies. It's still the view left, view top, view right, view close, so you guys can change in the chat. Right. Lists and weaknesses and potential exploitations. Let's start on the left and let's work to the right. Duncan's list. Duncan's list doesn't have that many options for model count, because he's gone pretty heavy into things like... Oh, wow, that is a big old brush. because he's gone heavy into things like the Storm Fiends here, and he's got a Lightning Cannon and a unit of 6 Jezzails, which are all pretty big point sinks, it means that the rest of his army is going to struggle in terms of models. So what he's having to rely on here is the sheer amount of Scryer shooting to be able to clear like the vast amount of models that any opponent he comes up against that they have. So having the option to be able to be like, okay, I'm now going to try and shoot all this screen off and then just use my acolytes to tip the objective and done. Pretty simple, pretty easy. That's like his main game plan. The downside of that is you've not got a lot of models. So when you start taking losses in places, you start taking really heavy losses. And that means that your points value and your army size decreases rapidly. Like proper rapidly. Not a general like slow 1, 2, 3 models down. Oh, I've lost my 20 models because of the screen. It's alright, they're only 120 points. Nah, the moment you lose like this unit of Storm Fiends, that's 630 points gone straight away. When you lose these Jezzails, it's like 300 points gone. So you really have to play around that when you are playing as and against them. Is like, where can I hit that has the most impact? So that's one of the downsides. The other downside is his only combat. Really, its only combat prowess is here in these Storm Fiends. And that's only on 2 out of the 6 models that have the gauntlets. That means if something wants to get into combat with you, you've got to play pretty reserved as Duncan as much as you can and screen out, like we can see with the Acolytes here. The Doom Wheel is doing exactly what I said it would and is just going Hail Mary. The Acolytes are just here to hold this objective. And you've got to use what very little screen you've got to buy yourself potentially 1, maybe 2 turns. Duncan's pretty much going to hope for a double turn so he can make the most out of those screens. Because every turn that screen is alive, it also means it's another turn that his Jezzails, his Warp Lightning Cannon, and his Storm Fiends go relatively untouched, which means that they're getting the most out of their ability to be able to choose what they want to shoot rather than having to shoot what is put into them. So that's pretty much what's going on there from Duncan's side of the list. Daniel's side of the list, however, on the other side of the table, has an absolute slew of Harridans. There are 50 Harridans here in this army. There is quite a lot of models there, but they are only 1 wound each. They only have a 4-up save. There's potentially a 5-up ward, most likely a 6-up ward. You know, any like weight of numbers dice going into this army are going to make them fall pretty quickly. Like, going to make them fall pretty quickly indeed. In terms of other things that Daniel's got to be wary of, there is no shooting for him. So into a matchup like Duncan's, if Duncan can afford to sit back a little more and screen out appropriately, it means that Daniel's going to have to come to him. And he's going to have to weather a couple of turns of shooting. But when he gets there, if he gets there, he's going to have the capability to go through these things quite nicely. Which is super nice. Oh my word. Okay, so we've actually seen Duncan shooting Orlinda with the lightning cannon, I believe, and then trying to bodyguard things off here onto the units around him. And unfortunately, he lifts. Duncan manages to lift both Orlinda and the Cruciator. Was that the Cruciator in turn 1? Holy smokes. Oh no, it was 2 Spirit Hosts. Oh no, he did lift the Cruciator. Oh my word. That was a hell of a start of a shooting round. Getting rid of those big heroes nice and early does help get rid of some of the buffs that Daniel will be able to put on the battlefield going into turn 1. That is absolutely mental. Lifting those heroes and lifting Orlinda in turn 1 is absolutely crazy. Duncan coming out with the big plays for Grand Alliance Friendship there. For those of you that aren't aware, Duncan is part of Grand Alliance Friendship, which also Louis, but more importantly his brother Toby, well, Team England Toby, are part of. Speaking of which, hi Louis, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. But yeah, Daniel's got to be careful of the shooting that can come out here from Duncan, and we can see just how devastating it can be already. He's not lifting the big units this turn because he knows he's got a screen waiting to be able to then do it again next turn. So in turn 1, Duncan's going, right, I'm going to pick off your centerpieces. I'm going to pick off the heroes that I can, the things that are going to be devastating to me, and I've got enough of a screen to be able to keep my firing line safe if you do get the turn going into turn 2, to which I can then start going through your Harridans. Now, one of the dangerous things here is if the Harridans do manage to get through this screen and go into there, it means that we're going to be able to see the Storm Fiends not only get a free shot, but also then go into combat and be able to do some damage in combat there with their gauntlets, which is pretty good. Right, who else we got? Asgog moved house last weekend, so I didn't have time to play Warhammer all weekend, unfortunately. Oh, that's a shame, Asgog. You should have just paid somebody to move your house. Pretty simple, pretty simple. Watching Nighthaunt achieve inevitable victory, hopefully, shall be the perfect background music to painting your own Nighthaunt. Soft Surf Boyo, get yourself in the Discord if you're not already. I know you are. ! Discord in the chat if you want to join a community of 1,200 people-ish. And get yourself some hobby pictures up and share your hobby. That'd be absolutely awesome. Well, more importantly, yes, Louis, more importantly. Ben, can you put Grand Alliance Friendship on stream every round? I'm real sick and it would be nice to be able to watch my boys. I'll see how many I can get on, Louis. I'll see how many I can get on. Kalatia says he can just fly over the screens in the charge. Yes, if you get a good enough charge. Now, he can't... I don't think he'll be able to land over this side of the screen in the movement phase. I think he would be able to get into the screen... Well, just here in the movement phase. But what you got to remember is you'll be measuring from here. Now, that's 3 inches there. And then I think Duncan's put himself about 10 inches back from this screen. On this side. About 7 inches back on this side. Which means here would be a 13-inch charge. Impossible. Here would be around a 10-inch charge. Possible. With some clever pile-ins, if Daniel can get himself here, make a charge move for a 10-inch here, start flying some units over here, he'd then be able to pile into this unit, locking them both down. But there's some pretty big numbers to ask for on dice. I know it's a dice game, right? And you can get those swings. You can get the swings from just the 3s all the way up to the 10s. But it's going to be pretty... You can't rely on that sort of stuff. You can definitely go for the Hail Marys and those big numbers. But with Warhammer, the more you can assure and the more you can guarantee, the better you'll be off. So, did that Doom Wheel just blow up? Hang on a second. Doom Wheel? Did that just blow up? I just seen Duncan just take it off the battlefield. Before you determine the text... so he made the move. Sure. Before you determine a tax characteristic, when the model is pass. I'll be right back. I'm just going to find out why that was removed. Yeah, I can confirm the Doom Wheel did indeed blow itself up. It used some warp stone, I believe, and just went boom. There you go. Sure, there goes the Doom Wheel. Unfortunate, to say the least, but it is what it is. That feeling when you're chilling... Wait, that feeling... When you're chilling, watching a game on the sofa, and the puppy drops an ice cube on your neck. Oh, that does not seem good, Berserk. Does not seem good at all. No Space Marines here, I'm afraid. Wooden Spoon. But also, welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing well. We can see we've got Duncan versus Daniel here. The Battle of the D's. On the tabletop. Skaven versus Nighthaunt. It's quite nice to see these armies in play. We streamed Mancunian Carnage just about 2 weeks ago. And we did have Nighthaunt on the stream as well. Speckles took Nighthaunt on before took Nighthaunt on before they got their new book and managed to go. I think it was 4-1, which was really, really impressive at Mancunian Carnage. Now we can see the new book in play here from Daniel, who has had a couple of games here with them. Really, really likes the Quicksilver Dead spam on the Harridans to be able to keep them super safe. So yeah, no charges came in. There was no battle tactic achieved from Duncan. So it's just hold 1 for Duncan because he holds his home objective and he's just got rid of Conquer. Interesting. You could have potentially done Ferocious Advance on this side of the table. I know I was saying earlier about it, but you definitely could have done a Ferocious Advance on this side of the table and got yourself a couple of points. But he's going to be 6 points behind going into turn 2, and we'll see. We'll just see how this game will play out. As long as they're happy, you click complete battle round. Should take you to turn 2. And then Daniel got a 4, Duncan got a 1, which means Daniel is going to be having priority and is going to be taking the turn. And that is, you know, it's best for Daniel, not phenomenal there for Duncan. But Duncan has put himself in a position where this line of units here should be able to tank the hit. However, there is a little opening this way to be able to get through onto things like the Storm Fiends. Now, the problem Daniel's got here is he is going to be taking an Unleash Hell pretty much anywhere Duncan is. Let's see what the view left gives us. That might be a better option for this side of the battlefield. Yeah, if you make a charge and end near here, you are probably going to get an Unleash Hell from either this unit, or this unit. But Unleash Hell has changed. Now, if you have played Age of Sigmar 3, basically you can spend a command point at the end. Daniel just being like this damn screen. You can spend a command point once your enemy finishes a charge phase, and then you can shoot with any eligible model in a unit within 6 inches of that model. So you measure model to model now rather than unit to unit. Before it was like within 9 inches of a unit, I think, or 6 inches of a unit. Now it's a case of it's 6 inches per model. So if you put 1 Harrod in here, and only 4 of these Storm Fiends are in range of 6 inches of that one model, only 4 out of the 6 can shoot. And depending on where Duncan has put the shock gauntlets, I think they're at the back, potentially. Really depends on what can shoot and what not, particularly if it's in a model-by-model basis. Usually, in the majority of armies and things like that, you tend to have a similar amount of models. Most models in the unit tend to be armed with the same thing. Skaven are a little different with the Storm Fiends. Put your current whip in Discord because Nighthaunt must be everywhere. Nighthaunt is a really, really nice army. It's nice to see them there on the tabletop and on the battlefield. And it's just super nice to be able to see them have play. And I think the new book definitely has a lot more play. I know Mikey and Louis, Hellstorm Wargaming, Louis is in the chat, or was in the chat. But they did a good video on 2 army lists that they would like to see. I think they did a chat about it on a Wednesday a couple of weeks ago. And they were talking about a Dreadside Harridan list, similar to this. And a Bladegeist Revenant list as well. Now, the Bladegeist list is quite nice. I like the Bladegeist list. Ward saves and ignoring ward saves are really, really nice. Don't get me wrong. But the Bladegeists having that pip of rend and hitting on 3s and 3s is really nice. And if charging and getting those 3 attacks means that you've got the same amount of damage output. The same amount of attacks, but you've got that rend. And that rend is kind of good. I think rend is pretty good. That resin outcrop thing. Which resin outcrop thing? Sorry, Mr. Lamatastic. This thing. Or am I missing a thing? I might be missing a thing. The Chaos Terrain thingy, yeah, that's actually plastic. That's one of the plastic ones from GW. Pretty nice. It is a large piece of scenery. Now, the players, I think, at this tournament, blanket, aren't using scenery rules. One of the tournament organisers said something along the lines of, who uses them anyway? I don't think he's wrong. Hands up in chat who's played Age of Sigmar. Hands up in chat who of those who have played Age of Sigmar have used scenery rules more often than they've not. There you go. Dark Angel Cathedral. Oh, the 40k one. Yeah, they're pretty nice. So we've seen some of the Nighthaunt healing coming in. Replenishing this unit here. And replenishing the Spirit House back to full. They were down to just one model. They are now back to full. Which is nice to see. And we can now see some Mimor Banshees coming up. Which is quite nice. There are scenery rules in Age of Sigmar? Yes. Yes, Berserk. There are indeed scenery rules in Age of Sigmar. Which is pretty good, right? Who doesn't love a good scenery rule? Yeah, anybody who plays AOS. There's that many like rules, and the game is starting to get that much more complex and intricate. I mean, take at its base example, one of the Nighthaunt allegiance abilities. If you make a charge on a 10, you attack before the start of the combat phase. Oh, sorry, you attack as soon as you finish the charge. That has now gone, and has become a different rule with 3 potential stipulations in it. So, if that's not a demonstration of how the game is progressing in terms of complexity, I don't know what is. I just don't want it to get to the point where we're in 5th edition of Age of Sigmar, and it's more complex than a quadratic formula. No game should be more complex than that. Actually, quadratics aren't that difficult. But quantum physics, there we go. We'll go with quantum physics. That's not what we want. Daniel has gone with broken ranks because really, it's relatively given, but also again, remember nothing's a given here for Age of Sigmar because dice can change. There's a unit of 5 acolytes over this side of the battlefield, or was. Yep, there is a unit of 5 acolytes over this side of the battlefield. There is also the string of 10 here. These are both battle line here, and this is the other battle line unit. I think these were the target of broken ranks, which means that they can just go in there and probably lift those 5 pretty easily, because acolytes aren't the best, to say the least. Acolyte. Scryer acolytes. Look at these. 6 up save, 1 wound. That's it. So there's 5 wounds with a 6 up save there. Right, okay. Sorry. Players are just going through. I can hear the players on my ears, so they're just going through what's going on. Pretty much. Talking about charges and stuff like that. There was a 7-inch charge here from this unit. And just moving the units at the back first, just trying to get into those acolytes, see how much damage they can do. It's only 5 models with a 6 up save. With 3 attacks each, I'm pretty sure these are going to go through them pretty nicely. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if these Harridans don't just lift these. The acolytes are going to be unleashing hell. So, hit on 5s. And then 4s to wound, -2, D3 damage. Obviously, the -2 is irrelevant. But there was no hits. Sorry, there was no wounds that go through. There was 4 hits, but no wounds there from Duncan, which is unfortunate. So, I reckon we see the screens lifted here, but I reckon we've seen the screens do their job. Duncan now has the opportunity to unleash into this unit, and the heroes down here in his turn, and then if he gets a double turn, then he'll start lifting these 2 bigger units, and then he'll start worrying about scoring. One of the biggest things and the biggest downfalls that I see the majority of Age of Sigmar players that haven't played the game a lot actually fall into is early scoring. Now, there isn't anything wrong with early scoring, providing you're not compromising your entire possibility to play the game because of it. Now, what I mean by that is feel free and don't be scared to go behind 2, 3, 4, 5 victory points in turns 1 and 2 to be able to then put yourself in a more favourable position, capitalize on your opponent putting themselves in a difficult position, and then you can go and hit them where it hurts in turns 3, 4, and 5 and win the game because you've also put yourself in a position where you can score all those objectives. A lot of people forget it's a 5-turn game. It's not a 2-turn game. You know, you're playing for 5 turns of the game. You're playing and scoring for 5 turns of the game. And in battle plans like Veins of Gur, for example, which gets escalatingly scary in the back of it, you're becoming more valuable the later you can play. It might even be a really good way to learn is by playing Veins of Gur loads, because you're actually encouraged to play reserved to turn 1 and 2. You're encouraged to play smart and outmaneuver your opponent. And we've seen that unit lifted over this side of the battlefield. That must have been the one with the broken ranks. Oh no, it wasn't yet. It wasn't yet. But nice and simple. Easy lift. And then the 5 acolytes are coming in with their 5 attacks. 5s and 5s, -1. Sorry. A minus nothing. It's nice and cool in this room. I don't know how warm it is in the players' room. Might go and offer to put my fan up for them. I brought my desk fan from home because yesterday it was swelteringly warm here in the Sanctuary Gaming Centre. I brought my desk fan just in case, but I realised there's only one of me in this room today, and also the window's open. We can see because these units made a charge, they were able to make a free pile in. So they have done. Into the warp fire thrower over here. Two rend, 2 damage each. And they just lift a warp fire thrower. Wow. Okay. I mean that's fair enough. That's how they work. -2, 2 damage each on those banshees. Real nice. Are there any what's it called? I really like the banshees. They're really cool. Any processions that'll help banshees? Can't retreat if you're within 3 inches of 10 or more models. Blade Geist with Mortal Spam. After armies have been set up before the rest battle round begins, you can pick D3+1 different enemies in the battlefield. At the end of each battle round, roll a dice. On a 2-up, it takes D3 mortal wounds. Disgusting. Disgusting. Just chip damage across the board. There you go. Hold home, hold the 2 middle, and get his battle tactic. Puts Daniel on 14 points. The Duncan's 1. Duncan obviously has a turn in hand now. What are we looking to do? There's no monsters on either side of the battlefield, so there's no extra VPs for killing a monster. There's no extra VPs here for doing battle tactics with a monster. But Duncan needs to look to try and potentially use those gnaw holes. Have a look at how many models are on this objective here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the objective. Can you get the Storm Fiends through the warp hole and charge them in? Kill this unit, claim this objective if you can. You've got 4.
can you potentially look at holding both of these? Possibly not, but there is the potential of 9 points available plus a battle tactic for 11 points, which could then throw Duncan right back into this game. It's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens, to be honest with you. He's got the Giselles round this Gnaw hole here, so he can just teleport them over this side of the battlefield or down here to try and keep them nice and safe. It's going to be difficult. I think it's going to be difficult. Duncan's unfortunately got himself on a bit of a back foot here. He's trying to decide what battle tactic he's got. My man Duncan's got this. Louis, I believe Duncan's got a greater plan. I did mention about going behind in turn 1 and turn 2 to be able to bring it back, but I don't think I've seen a 13-point deficit in this particular battle plan. Slip. Oh, sorry, switch. He's a master tactician. Well, I mean, yeah, Duncan is very good. He's just questioning at the moment what battle tactic he wants to do. He might be doing Slay the Warlord potentially. There could be potential other things that he decides to do, but you know, it's gonna be pretty difficult, I think, for him to come back from this point. He'll throw another way. It's the smart choice. What he'll do, right, is he'll not score a single battle tactic, but somehow win the game. that's pretty much how this will work. He'll not win a single battle tactic, but somehow win the game. Slay the Warlord coming in from Duncan here onto the general, which is boom, 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 boom. I've literally just looked at the table and seen him. Literally here. Like you said, it's a 5-round game. Dan can't score if he's tabled and Duncan's double. You are not wrong, Louis. It is definitely the option. I think Duncan's trying to got to play for this double here. I think he was potentially playing for the double in turn 1 to be able to get the hurt on and mean that Daniel couldn't get the healing off on his units that he had before. And instead has been unfortunate with that dice roll there, and he's just hoping that the Dice Gods will bless him with a priority going into turn 3. And the question is, I can't remember actually, are all these... Hang on 1 second. No. This is what I want. Mission rules. Are these prime objectives? Only the objectives on the borders are prime, so whoever goes second can remove one of those objectives in turn 3. As the realm rules state. So, you know, if Duncan does get to the double into 3, he will then give Daniel the opportunity to delete one of these two objectives. And you might as well just get rid of this. I'm sorry, this Bombardier's just used the Gur spell to turn himself into a monster. Why? So he can shoot off the Slay the Warlord and get an extra VP? Big brain. Big brain, Duncan. There's got to be something in that head of his. It's absolute genius. Yeah, he's going to try and kill with the Bombardier, the Warlord. Oh, I love that spell. If you play Age of Sigmar, by the way, right? I really hope he gets the double. It'll show such prowess here, Louis. If you do play Age of Sigmar, one of the things you've got to remember, right, is that you've obviously got the ability to remove an objective in turn 3 if you go second, if they're not all prime. You have the Realm spell to turn the wizard that cast it into a monster, which means you can do monsters rampages, or your battle tactic and you can get +1 with. Sorry, +1 VP. And also, if you are playing with monsters, so like your more Crushes and stuff like that, you can choose to... Oh, beautiful, beautiful camera work. Beautiful camera work there on the close-up. You can choose to fight at your top bracket. Loads of people forget that. They're like, oh, actually, I've been wounded massively. I don't... Oh, just use a CP to fight at your top bracket. What are you messing at? Like, come on. Everybody gets access to it. Everybody does. I think this is the Warp Lightning Cannon. Retreated. Keeps himself nice and safe. I think that Warp Lightning Cannon's only got 1 wound left, actually. Did it hurt itself? Yep, it's only got 1 wound left. Kind of did damage to itself in turn 1. Unfortunate there. Unfortunate. I think this is his Warlord, isn't it? Is this a Bombardier? Is that a Bombardier? Let's have a cheeky look at the list here. No, that'll be the Arch Warlock, right? Or is that could be one of the Bombardiers? I'll be honest with you, chat. I have no idea what actual model that is supposed to represent. But what I can tell you is it's damn cool. And we can see the Storm Fiends there coming into frame in the top right hand side of the screen. Looking menacing as all ever. Getting themselves into position. Ready to die. Or ready to absolutely kill some stuff. Or is that his Mystic Shield? That might be his Mystic Shield marker. Let's go to this camera. That might, yeah, because he's got a little shield on it. That could be that marker there. But you can see that you've got a nice run in there. Your Bombardiers are actually here. Fair play, fair play. I wish I could be... You know, I wish I could be a fly on the wall inside Duncan's brain here to try and figure out what on earth is going on. Like, what's he thinking? What's he want? Where's it coming from? Where's it going? What's going on, you know? Is he gonna win? Does he know what he's doing? He is playing 7D chess. Absolutely. If he doesn't know what he's doing, how can his opponent... Too right, Louis. Too right. That's my biggest tactic. If I don't know what I'm doing, surely I can win. Going to toddle off for a bit, have fun, chat, ask Ben questions about this game, this event, his breakfast, his higher mysteries of her life, anything you like. Nice. Thanks there, Mr. Llamatastic. Have yourself a wonderful toddle. Enjoy yourself. Thank you very much for helping. Also, a massive thank you to Dan from the Warrior Lodge again for lending us his mat and his scenery. So we're going to be playing on the snowy board here for games 1 and 2, and then games 3, 4, and 5. We're going to have the nice, lovely Lumineth terrain that we had last time. Battlefield. Quite nice. Today, obviously, we're going to go for 3 sort of nice-looking games with decent matchups, and then tomorrow we're going to be looking at Table 1. This is a Bombardier shooting into the... Is that the Cruciator? Just measuring up now to see which Giselles can actually see the Warlord. All 6 shooting at the Warlord by the looks of it. Giselles are unfortunately bad, right? I could have sworn blind and sworn a biscuit that they had 2 shots each. They were 4s and 4s, or 4s and 3s, -2, 2 damage, 2 shots each, right? Same points as Stormcast, or the same sort of thing as Stormcast. Just hit worse and are Skaven, right? That's what I thought. That's where my head was at. Was I wrong? Massively. They're 1 shot each. Garbage. Two mortal wounds go through. 4 wounds and 2 mortal wounds. At minus, never mind, I'm ethereal. So 3 wounds taken here on the general. Oh, hang on, I'm just trying to... Okay, so we can see there that that is the Spirit Torment War general that we've seen in that crowd near the dice next to it. This is the Slay the Warlord. Is this... That was the Warp Lightning Cannon there shooting the general. Yeah. And removing him from the battlefield nice and promptly. Yeah, battle tactic achieved. Good work. Daniel is a man after my own heart. Either likes using technology or has just heeded my words and said, hey man, if you've not done it. So yeah, +1 to wound. Here on the reroll all hits on the storm feeds, +1 to wound. Going into the and an all-out attack. Gross. These are going into that unit of Harridans, I believe. Get them out of the way nice and early. Get them nice and dead, nice and quick. Want to see that lifted off the table there so that Duncan can start potentially coming around this side of the battlefield, claiming an objective as he goes. Then moving on to that back objective, and hopefully in turn 3, looking at trying to score those points there on Daniel's home objective. Or if anything, at least looking at stopping Daniel being able to score quite so many points in his next turn, and looking at Daniel slowing down his massive lead that he's currently got here against Duncan, and then moving on from there. We will see exactly how we get on with that. I'm not actually sat at the desk at the moment, chat. I'm actually physically watching the game. I'm from the other side of a wall. I feel like I'm in a bit of a fish tank. I can see that all the players outside at the moment are having loads of fun by the looks of it. I can see the Grand Alliance Friendship Group. There is quite a lot of them. Louis, we miss you. Sorry you're not here. We've got Tom Wainwright, which we've had on the stream before, using his Ideneth Deepkin versus Mike Chatterton, using his big war. It's quite a big game, that one. Both of these players are relatively proficient at the game and have the capability to take that and do really, really well in the tournament. However, only one of those two will win, and that will put the other one on the back foot, either to do a submarine like a king, or just fail and flop down the bottom ends of the tables. We've also got Dan Brook, who I've not seen in quite a while here, actually, has brought, I believe, Corn to the tabletop for the first time in a while. And it's nice to see some Corn on the table. Duncan just rolling an absolute bucket of dice here for the Gatling guns. Inspired helping into wound on 2s there, which is really nice. 18 more going through there onto that massive unit of Harridans. Oh my word, there is a lot of 4s and 5s there. That's 16 dead. Oh no, these are all the death saves now. 6s for the death saves, trying to save that unit, keep them alive. And that is a wiped unit. We can see just how much damage those Storm Fiends can put down. 630 points. Actually managing to lift 320 points like it was barely a paperweight. Like it was barely in the way. Getting those down, getting them off the battlefield. And really opening up that space now there for Duncan to be able to push through going into the next turn. Duncan's done pretty much all the shooting. He's just got a bombardier. No hit. Massive unit gone. Really good. Duncan's got it, probably hoping for the double turn here. Going into turn 3. I imagine we'll see that objective that has just been cleared by Duncan get removed if Daniel remembers to do it. But we're going to be looking at the priority roll here. So it's 4 plays 14 going in. My man, one on a battle tactic. That's what Duncan should have on the back of his shirt. It says Duncan the Fight Woods. I think we need to change that to 1 and a battle tactic. Round number 3 priority. Duncan rolls. Duncan does indeed get the double turn. Duncan gets that double turn. And we've seen... Yeah, they removed the objective that we mentioned before, because why not get it out of the way, get it gone. Indeed. Appreciate that. Yes, we see Duncan come in and take that priority. I'm feeling better tomorrow. I might make an appearance. Well, Louis, if you want to make an appearance and you want to sit here with me and talk Warhammer all day, you're more than welcome to, buddy. You're an absolute scholar and a gent, and it would be an honour to have you here, sat with me on the tabletop. Or sat with me near the tabletop, commentating on some high-level play from some low-level players. I'm joking. I'm just salty you beat me. That's what it was. Salty you beat me. Okay. So the double turn here for Duncan can see one of 2 things happen. Turn the tide of this battle absolutely massively. Let's go to the top down and have a quick analysis of this. Why not? And then we'll look at some faction breakdowns while Duncan is deciding what he wants to do. But I can imagine we see the Storm Fiends now make their way this way. There's no point in them going this way anymore because there's just nothing left there for him. I can see, or foresee them trying to take out this unit pretty promptly. The Jezzail's trying to get rid of the support heroes here. The Warp Lightning Cannon also going into here. If he can lift... What is this? What? What is this? If he can lift this unit... Oh, does that look good, chat? I don't know. Maybe it does. If he can lift this unit with like relative ease, it's gonna mean that all that pretty much... Oh gosh, I did it wrong. All that Daniel has left is pretty much this stuff over here, and it will make it really, really simple. Copy to clipboard, save. We don't want any of that. It will make it really, really simple there for Duncan then to be able to sweep around the side of the battlefield and delete these units. What he does have to be careful of, though, is this Dreadblade Harrow just like trying to teleport onto his backline. So he needs to leave. So maybe the Jezzails teleport down this way. Dash line isn't easy to see. Yeah, but it highlights. Does it not highlight it for you guys? Oh, it doesn't. It highlights it for me. It darkens everything else and makes that light. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. If we can just leave Daniel with this unit section over here, then Duncan's going to be playing a 5-head level game. And it's going to be pretty impressive to see him come back from this. A 10-point deficit. broken ranks chosen. We've got a relatively weak unit of Harridans here. He just lifted a unit of 20 Harridans here, but he lifted that unit after using his all-out attack, his reroll hits, and his triumph. He now no longer has that triumph, making it a little more difficult to be able to take these off. Now, for those of you that don't play Age of Sigmar and aren't aware, a triumph is basically whoever has the lowest point list gets a little buff. That can be by 1 point, it can be by 5 points, it can be by, in this case, 45 points. So Duncan had the ability to choose one of a list of triumphs and chose to get +1 to wound for one phase of a game. You can spend that freely at any point. He decided to do it that turn when he needed to lift that unit, because if he doesn't win priority and doesn't lift that unit just comes straight back in and starts causing havoc. Now, you would have had a similar thing here with the 20 Harridans potentially. Maybe you move the Spirit Hosts back here to just defend off this objective and make sure you don't lose it from a cheeky warp hole charge. But we'll see what happens there. It's going to be interesting here to see what Duncan can do and what real damage he can put out. And we can see the Skaven going in. One thing I can imagine here is that he's got to put himself in a position where he can do a multiple charge. So if he manages, for example, here, to shoot this unit off, he then charge here. Or if he, for example, shoots this unit off, he can charge this way instead. Because he's got a couple of the combat weapons in there on the shock gauntlets. There's relatively decent horde clearing on them. They're pretty good. And a 6-inch move on Stormfiends is surprising. I thought they would have been significantly lower, I'm not going to lie. You've really got to make the most of these Stormfiends movement. Yeah, the plan Duncan's just said is he's going to shoot this unit off and then charge into here. Now, he probably can do a lot of damage in the charge phase, and maybe you just use the Jezzails to just plink off all the heroes, get rid of the Maimons, and go from there. I'd put loads of hope. These Banshees, the Dreadsize have a 4-up save, have a 6-up ward, and only 1 wound each. And when you are putting out as many dice as you can potentially put out on these, I mean, it's a potential, right? There's definitely the potential. Storm. So if I just put Fiends in here, let's bring the Stormfiends. Let's bring the Stormfiends War Scroll back up. With the potential to do, he's got 8 dice, 4s and 3s -1, 2 damage each. 2 damage each. He's got the shock gauntlets. Got those shock gauntlets. So if you roll that 6 to hit, you get D6 hits instead of 1. That's your potential. That could be devastating. Pretty nice. There's not a massive amount of point in taking the Doom players, I think, because you've got your Rend in the Wind launchers that you've got for shooting, and you can use the shock gauntlets to get through stuff. They've definitely got the option to do a lot of damage here. I'm not thinking, and I'm not assuming they're going to lift a unit of 20. I really don't. But what I think they're going to do is they're going to give Daniel something to think about. They're going to be put in a position where you've actually lost the majority of this side of the battlefield now. Maybe you managed to get lucky with the Warp Lightning Cannon and the Jezzails, but you could get the Storm Fiends right in there, and then have a unit of 6 Storm Fiends just sat here going, alright then, come at me. We've got 6 wounds and a 4-up save each, which is incredible. 6 wounds and a 4-up save each. Now, Storm Fiends are also Clan Molder, which is interesting. Unfortunately, you can't have a Master Molder, because if you had a Master Molder, I assume you could give them a mutation? Can you give them a mutation, Moog? Also, how's the COVID? Hope it's going well. Hope it's going well. Oh, you can see some unit Banshees lifted. Get rid of them. I'm sorry. And I quote from the tabletop, does Jesus bring guys back? Both players there referring to the Cruciator, the one with the massive crucifix. Back. Melee boys also have 7 wounds. What? What do you mean they also have 7 wounds? They're not pack beasts. Ah, fair play. Okay. I think that's pretty much. That was the warp lightning cannon there that was just shot. The bombardier is going to shoot the Spirit Torment. Go on, chew your warp stone. Yeah. Yeah, Duncan's trying to decide where his general's going to let the reroll hits come in. Oh, they get another wound. That's cool. That's cool. There's 14, 20, 38 wounds in that unit of Storm Fiends. Holy smokes, on a 4-up save. $2d6 damage here. Was that 5 damage on 2d6? That's not even average, Duncan. And the Spirit Torment manages to live. Bombardiers are an all or nothing kind of thing. Kills the Spirit Host Bodyguard. Why not? The Jezzails. Jezzails now shooting. They assume the same thing. Anonymous Rex, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Thank you very much for stopping by. I was going to use your actual name there, but I think that's kind of not appropriate. The Cruciator, how many wounds has he got? 6. No. 6. 6 wounds there on the Cruciator. Jezzail's going into the Cruciator there. And then rerolling all hits. Oh my gosh, he only got 1 hit. It's only 3 hits there. Unfortunate. Kills another Spirit Host. Wounds another Spirit Host. But Jesus. Also takes a couple of wounds. The Bombardier shooting the Harridans. We're going to see some more Fiends. My Bombardiers to be a bit more of a nothing kind of thing. Oh, definitely. Definitely. Is that a bit? Scratch that snow map makes things a lot more legible. Oh, eligible? Or legible? The snowy mat does indeed make things more legible on the tabletop. Duncan has taken the lean on the table stance and is now trying to question his miniatures and his gods. Where are you going, Duncan? $18 dice coming in. Fair play. It's a lot of attacks there. 18 shots coming in from those rattling guns. Which unit's that into? Which unit is it into? The smaller unit. I thought so. Yep, into the small unit. Sorry, chat, you just straight up heard me say that. You might have heard the sound of the hole there. I'm in a nice secluded little room. This thing's basically watertight. Berserk, thank you very much for gifting a sub there to Gary. Gary, how you doing? Welcome on in. I hope you're doing great. Another one off my list, indeed. 1,511 subs. You absolute monster. I appreciate it. Gary, I do need to get back to you on Twitter. We do indeed need to have a game. Sorry, I have just been a little preoccupied with some other things happening. The Rattling Guns here into the unit of 10. Excuse me, for the Broken Ranks. 11 dice going through. So, 2 damage each on these. And the wind launchers coming through. And we'll see how much extra damage these can put down onto that poor unit of 10. 3 more. D3 plus 1 each. Oh my word. Oh yeah, Warpstone with the extra point of damage. Disgusting. Dead unit of 10 lifted nice and simple. Broken ranks achieved. Daniel has a wonderful little trolley that he takes around and I really want one. Oh my word, did the Stormfiends just make that charge? Smokes. Yep. Oh, this is a wonderful display of sportsmanship. I really love players that help me measure stuff out. Berserk, thank you very much for gifting 2 more subs, and then 2 more subs. Holy smokes. Anonymous Incorporated, Hedog, Woodster, and Grise. Thank you. Wow, I was away from the edge. I appreciate that. The lists are just there, Gary. Yep. All of those lists will be updated when the players update the app. As to who is playing, which is really, really quite nice. Berserk taking it to 15-15. What a number. What a man. Good job. Thank you very much for joining us there. I really appreciate that. If you guys are interested in winning Horus Heresy box, you can do so by donating £5 to the channel or !heresy to find some details about a free email entry. That is the one that has gone on pre-order. We have it on order. It is going to be here with us next week. If you are interested in winning the box, please feel free to enter. It is going to be ended tomorrow, Game 5. We're going to draw live Game 5 tomorrow. Who is going to win the box? All details can be found in the image that you can see in the chat. Click the tiny URL link. Any terms and conditions apply. They're at the bottom the stream. Now we can see the Warp Fiends go in. We've got the Shock Gauntlets. Yeah, brilliant. Daniel just updating the app there because Broken Ranks was indeed achieved by Duncan. He has actually managed to learn to play this game last time. You do both for 1,000 entries. Donate a tenner for 1,000 entries if you want, Louis. If you want 1,001 entries, you can donate a tenner and email in. If you have donated, you can also email in. The free path to entry is via email. Is that Team England's Toby wearing a Team Switzerland shirt? What is going on? I don't understand what's going on. But yeah, that Heresy box looks really good value as well. Really, really good value. It's just a shame I don't want to play the game.
D6 hits. Nice flat 6 hits there. You might as well take them when you can get them with the shot gauntlets. Tio's just come over and talked to the players, and Daniel was just like, hang on a minute. The dice are betraying me. Duncan's like, whoa, you got the double turn 1 into 2. Let's not play this game. Seven wounds go through from the first shot gauntlet. 1 goes through for 2 damage. That ethereal save is so good. He isn't wearing gaff colours, Louis, I'm afraid. Man's got 6. Come on, Duncan. You've not got 3 points. Reason rerolling to hit. 3's to wound, I imagine. 4's to wound. Which is pretty solid. Only 2 damage first going through into that unit of 20, so we'll probably see 2 dead Harridans at least. 7 saves coming in again. Can Daniel do it again and save another million? Six dead Harridans out that unit of 20. Not quite a lot. I don't think quite enough to really put a big stickler in. But one of the big things that Duncan has done here is he's whittled Daniel's army down to this unit of Myrmorns, this Harrow, and this small conglomeration here. That is it. That is all that is left here for Daniel. Okay, he's currently hold 1. Something tells me Duncan would have been better charging this way and killing them in combat after shooting them off the board, but that's beside the point. He's going to get 1 point for holding his point to take him up to a mighty 7 into 14. Daniel will then guaranteed get 3 points in his turn. Guaranteed 3 points. At least. Let's say he gets his battle tactic. That now takes him to 5 points. It then becomes 19 plays 7 going into turn 4. Now, if Duncan gets the turn going into turn 4, we could see something quite spectacular here. He's the man will be 12 points behind. Turn 4. He'll hold Daniel's objective for 4. He'll hold his own. He'll hold the middle for 2. That's a 7-point VP there. He'll get like aggressive expansion or something for another 2. That's 9 VP. He was 12 behind. He's now only 3 behind. My prediction at that point, Daniel has pretty much only got the Dreadblade Harrow left and maybe the Cruciator. That then makes it Duncan's game to lose, because in turn 5, sorry, Daniel's turn 4, he might get 3 points, taking it to like 22 to 16. Turn 5, Duncan gets the turn, let's say, gets another 9 points. Gary! Thank you very much for that donation. You are entered into the raffle, which will be drawn at the end of Game 5 tomorrow. I reckon, with some luck, some faith, and some big brain plays here from Duncan, that he can eke out a win by a couple of victory points. It's going to be down to the wire. You go 11 VPs down, turns 1 and 2. 11 VPs before you start turn 3. If you can bring that back, this man deserves some kind of medal. Because there's no...
Oh, it's going to be good. It's going to be good to see. We might even see those Harridans potentially die in combat against the Storm Fiends if Duncan manages to spike his dice in Daniel's turn and Daniel doesn't retreat from that combat. It's a big thing to ask. Is there the possibility of a retreat and a claim on the objective here on Duncan's side of the battlefield? If Daniel can get his miniatures over this side of the battlefield and claim that objective, we could be looking at something completely different here. There is currently 2, 4, 5, 7 models on that objective for Duncan. If Daniel can peep an 8th, doesn't even need combat. If he can peep an 8th this turn onto that objective, it becomes his game to lose. Because at that point, he's scoring the full complement of what's available on the battlefield. He could simply conquer the objective on the other side of the battlefield. A big one. It's a big one. Now, Duncan has stepped away from the table, as he always does in these sort of things, so we can take a moment to have a look at the stats here at the event. So, Warrior Lodge, Quest of Champions, Heat 3. Here are our Grand Alliance breakdowns, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We have 14 Order, 9 Chaos, 8 Destruction, and 4 Death. That is double the amount of death that we had last time. Pretty solid. A nice 40% representation from Order, though. Pretty nice. Let's move on to the factions represented. This is quite nice to see. We have 4 Stormcast. Somehow, we have 3 Blades of Khorne. Did that White Dwarf supplement really do some hidden sneaky power? I don't know. We've got 2 Soul Blight, 2 Suns, 2 Seraphon, 2 Big War, 2 Skaven as well. This is crazy. 2 Tzeentch, 2 Cities, 2 Fire Slayers. One of the Cities players. In fact, both Cities players here we had on stream at Carnage. Both using the same lists that they had at Carnage as well. So we'll try and leave those till day 5. Games 4 and 5 if they get there. But we'll see. 2 Fire Slayers, 2 Nighthaunt using the new book, which is really nice. 2 more tribes, 1 Lumineth, 1 Slaves, 1 KO, nice to see. A Maggotkin, a Daughters of Cain using the new book. Only 1 Deepkin, a Cruel Boys, and a Bone Splitters. Our factions not represented here are Beast of Chaos, Legion of the First Prince, surprisingly, although there is a couple of Be'lakor in the Khorne lists. Slaanesh, Sylvaneth, Gits, Ironjaws, Flesh Eater Courts, and Bone Reapers. So, there's a pretty decent representation across the game, and only having 4 of one faction is quite good. They're just working out. Daniel's potentially come up with the idea of trying to get on that back objective there to really put the pressure on Duncan. I am in a firm mathematical chance if Daniel manages to get Duncan's objective this turn, which is worth 4 points to him. He'll be able to score 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points potentially this turn, and then it will be out of reach for Duncan. Now, Duncan could do some damn real clever redeploys here. And potentially, say this guy moves here, he could redeploy closer and just become a pain for any units trying to get closer. Maybe even here to try and get into a position where he has that bigger 3-inch bubble that you can't retreat the Harridans over with their 8-inch move. Going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see indeed. Priority went first, hold home. That's all, and his battle tactic. That's all Duncan scored this turn. I might change it so that if the battle tactic is achieved, it turns green on the screen. That would be good for us, wouldn't it? That would be probably slightly better for us than it not turning any colour, and me having to guess if they scored it or not. It turns green on the summary app, but I've not got my summary app present at the moment. It's been a bit of a stressful 30 seconds. I'm not gonna lie. We are without the co-commentator. It is just myself. It has been 2 hours, unfortunately for your guys' ears. It has been 2 hours of me talking. And whilst for some of you that might be pleasure and interest, to others it will be dire and horrible, and I apologise. But I appreciate you all being here. Thank you so very much for joining us here at the Quest of Champions Heat 3. This is game number 1. We have an interesting match of Skaventide, piloted by Duncan Woods, versus Nighthaunt, piloted by Daniel Elkington. And we are going to see how well Duncan can potentially come back from this. Remember, Daniel has a turn in hand. Just trying to decide what he's going to do. In fact, give me half a second, chat. Half a second. As predicted, conquer for Duncan. For Daniel. On his home objective. He's going to try and get it. He has left the Storm Fiends to their own devices. He has done the maths. He has worked out the matrix. He's figured out that if he can get to that objective, he can be on to a winner. He's got retreat and charge on his Nighthaunt. I'm really surprised that we didn't see a redeploy. Just to be annoying. Unless it was out of range. Oh, it looks like it was out of range, actually. Never. Stay outside of 9, stop the redeploy, then move in with the Harridans from the retreat. Nice work. Nice work. Is retreat in charge on the Nighthaunt? I think so. Yep, Nighthaunt units can retreat and charge in the same turn. Not feeling confident anymore. It depends on this charge. Genuinely depends on this charge. And that will be the charge to doom the game, I think. If Daniel doesn't make that charge, it's a completely different game. The game is turned on its head again. Absolutely, because Duncan could have aggressive expansioned. All he needs to do is walk one Stormfiend onto that home objective, shoot off the Harridans, different game again. But that 7-inch charge with a reroll, on average, kind of makes sense. Unfortunate for Duncan, to say the least. I assume we'll see an Unleash Hell from the Warp 5 thrower. Duncan's going to let Daniel do all of his movement first. He's shooting with the Giselles. Fair play. They haven't moved. Gets a reroll. They're hitting on 5s now. Man could potentially do a lot of damage here. Now, it looks like there are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There's only 14 left in that unit of Harridans. So come on, spike your dice. Only 2. Fortunate. Absolutely nothing. That'll be murder, she wrote. Duncan was potentially hoping to spike his dice. He could have, hypothetically, taken out the majority of that unit on the way in. But now I feel like the Harridans are just going to do some damage. We're going to claim that objective. And it's going to be pretty bad for Duncan. If there wasn't the mechanic for retreat and charge across the Nighthaunt army, it'd be completely different. But that retreat and charge mechanic has unfortunately given Duncan a bit of a headache just there. We can see he has left his home objective open there for Daniel. But he will be holding all the objectives for at least this turn. And then if he double turns him into 4, again, different game. Because that's worth 4, that's worth 1, that's worth 2. He's going to get Conquer for another +2. So that's 9 points here for Daniel. 23 plays 27 going into turn 4. If Daniel gets turn 4, he slays the Warlord, maybe? And gets another 9 points to put him at 32 to 7. And then that's way out of Duncan's reach, because in 2 turns, Duncan cannot achieve the 25 points that he would need to. What he needed was to not lose these 4 points. I mean, there's no guarantee. There could be whiffs from everybody and spikes from Duncan here. Gonna be awful. Awful difficult. Because, you know, say there's 32 points here, right? The end of turn 4, 32 points. Duncan moves on to here. And scores 4 points. To put him on 11. Like, yeah, you're not gonna be able to pull this back, I don't think. Unless somehow he manages to clear 10 of those Harridans without losing anything of his, it's going to be difficult. But again, if Daniel fails that charge, he doesn't get in, he loses those points. But a 7 re-rolling is average on 2d6, you're absolutely fine. The screens putting out their juice early on, really helpful for Duncan. Not getting that double turn 1 into 2, really painful for Duncan. But then double turn 2 into 3, different story. It's, yeah, part of me thinks if you shoot this unit of 20 and then charge this unit, you're onto a different winner. Because you can claim that objective, and then in your turn 4 you can move back onto Daniel's objective. You probably eradicate 2 units and go from there. There's a one problem with having units like this, though. With every model in the unit having different weapons, it makes it a little more tricky when you have to move them, because each model has to move in a certain way. Obviously, if you are playing a game where you've got 20 models and they're all the same, you move the front one, you move the back one, and the rest kind of, for quick play, the rest kind of conglomerate in the middle, as long as nobody moves more than their allocated space. They sort of conglomerate in the middle. Safe. Charge there, going into just I think the Harridans are going to try and lift the Warpfire Thrower, the Arch Warlock, and everything else they can. The Warp Lightning Cannon blew itself up, I believe. Oh no, sorry, got lifted. Nothing short of unfortunate. Maybe a couple of target selection priorities changes from Duncan there might have potentially swung in the game earlier on. Let's go and have a look at the top down. Yeah, if you get rid of that unit of 20 rather than the unit of 10 on the right hand side, put everything into it, I think you're in a bit of a different position. There is not a lot left here on Duncan's side. You can see the gaping hole on the close hand side of the close on the middle camera on the right, where the Warpfire Thrower was, where the Warp Lightning Cannon was, and where the Arch Warlock once was. It's going to be murder she wrote here, I think, and particularly more insult to injury if Daniel gets the turn, going in 3 to 4. Double turning there, scoring another 9 points. Moving on with his life. Now the Warrior Lodge don't care about kill points, they just care about victory points. So both players should be working out how many victory points they're going to end up with at the end of this game. Going to be damned interesting to see. The one downside of only having one commentator: you need the toilet, I gotta wait. But thank you very much, everybody, for joining me here today at Game 1 of the Warrior Lodge. We have Skaven versus Nighthaunt. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so very much. Sorry for my dulcet tones.
By the end of the weekend, I am going to have no voice left. So I'm going to try and talk with a little less pizzazz. Oh, another little rat boy taken off the table. Try and talk with a little less pizzazz and maybe try and recuperate my voice going into lunch. Games 2 and 3. And a couple of things I want to try and fix in lunchtime. We'll go from there. Just get Asgog, my dude. I can't. Moog, don't be gross. Don't be gross. Tomorrow we might have a camera for me, so you can see me for half a second. Not that anybody wants to, but there is the potential for that. And game number 2, we will try and take somebody here who has won their first game. Preferably somebody who's not appeared on stream before. And somebody who looks to have a nice, interesting matchup. And then game 3 today, we're going to be looking at trying to get somebody who is 1-1, won 1, lost 1, or even won 1, drawn 1, and fighting and vying for the podium that they so desperately want. But more importantly, the qualifying place that people are definitely after. We'll see what happens there. What happens with that. It's going to be mighty interesting to see exactly how these players get along, what they do, and such. Which gaff am I putting on stream next? Depends if their armies look good or not, mate. Depends if their armies look good or not. I know Duncan's already got some of those, so I'll give Duncan some of those. Mark's army is sexy. Which is Mark's army? What's he running? Team England, Toby. Oh, it's a gaff off actually. Toby is. Oh, sorry. Toby's playing. Who's Toby playing? Oh, fair play. Fair play. Fair play. Yeah, we can see the Giselles getting lifted here by Spirit Hosts and Cruciators. There is not a lot left here for Duncan. A massive block of 630 points worth of Storm Fiends. A Bombardier, a Warpfire Thrower, and 2 Giselles. Battle shot going through. Two of the Giselles run away in combat. 2 of the Giselles leave the table promptly. Please exit stage left at your... Oh, Soulblight, yeah. Please exit stage left as and when is convenient to you. That was a massive turn for Daniel. Players just making sure the math works. Hold one middle. Hold enemies. Battle tactic. Turn 4, 23. Plays 7. Duncan 1. Priority. Unfortunately, I think too little. Too late. Give me 1 second. There we go. Mark's army is pretty good. Fair play. I'll have to have a look at it and see what he does if he wins game 1. If not, if he wins game 2, potentially. Let's have a look. We'll see what the people want. It'd be nice to have some Soulblight on the battlefield, I think. I like Soulblight. The players just trying to decide what is going on here. I think they're trying to decide... I think Duncan was going to do aggressive expansion. And I still think you can. I just think what he has to do is move the Storm Fiends to tip that objective in the in Daniel's deployment. Yeah, they're just having a discussion. They're having a discussion about whether the Storm Fiends can claim 2 objectives or not. The answer to that question is quite simply no. I'm pretty sure the answer is no. In fact, what is the ruling from the TO? I want to see if it's Duncan's favour or not. Was it, Duncan, was that in your favour or against your?
Against.
I thought so. Because that's the way it is. So only one unit can claim 1 objective at a time per turn. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. Alright, so we're going to see Duncan. I think you can still aggressive expansion, right? You just choose. Yep, that's what I would have done. Choose both of them. Yeah. That is the play. You move the Storm Fiends to tip his objective. You then shoot off the Harridans. You then claim that objective. As you walk the wall, walk the Bombardier back on. Nice and simple. Nice and simple. You shoot the Rattling Gun. You shoot Storm Fiends. You wipe that unit of Harridans. You score yourself 5, 6, 7 points to take you to 14, plays 23. But then Daniel's still got a 10 in hand. And he's not really got a lot to shift off that bottom objective. And in fact, you could probably just walk the Spirit Host, the Cruciator, and the Spirit Torment onto it. You do whatever you do there. You score yourself 6 points that turn. 4 for the opponents. 2 for the middle. Then 2 more. 8 points, sorry, for the battle tactic. Take yourself to 31. Plays a potential 14. Physically, mathematically, quadratically, sporadically impossible for Duncan to come back on VPs. But as a true player and a true man he is, he will play to the bitter end, vying for some level of at least moral victory, if not mathematical victory here. And as I said, the Warrior Lodge, when they run their events, if you win or lose, you get your victory points as tournament points. If you win, you get a further 600. And it goes on VPs. Interesting way to score a tournament. Not how I score my tournament. I score my tournament off wins, losses, draws. Inside the bracket of that, you have your wins. You have your tournament points inside of that, which is a 20-0 differential system. And then outside of that, you've got tiebreakers in terms of kill points. Okay, so we're going to see. That'll be done here. Okay, yeah, just reminding about the Terrified aura of the unit and the -1 damage buff that you can do from the Cruciator for the Nighthaunt. In fact, let's have a cheeky look at the Well, no, I will talk through the Cruciator War Scroll. I can't show you the Cruciator War Scroll. If this unit is wholly within 12 of any terrified units, -1 from the damage inflicted to a minimum of 1. It's a very strange bubble. A very strange bubble. So we're just going to see this game wrapped up now here from Duncan and Daniel. Duncan's going to try and clear off this unit of Harridans using the Storm Fiends, the Windfire, the Bombardier. Reclaiming this for 4 and 1, and +2 for his battle tactic. It has been a bit of a back and forth, you know, a couple of charges don't make here, a couple of charges do make here, a couple of decisions to go left or right rather than right or left. Could have changed the game either way. Here we have the shots. The rattling guns coming in. Thank you very much, everybody, for following as well. I appreciate you following the channel. Really appreciate it. If you do want to see more event streams, keep your eyes peeled. There are plenty of other streams out there doing event streams. Keep your eyes peeled for potential stuff on here. And also, if you want to see some awesome hobby, Kerry, the counterpart to the hobby room, the streams every Monday, Thursday, Friday. Monday and Friday daytime, Thursday evening. She does hobby streams where she paints up some really nice miniatures. And she tries to attend tournaments when she can. Definitely worth a watch. I need to plug my laptop in. Because it's dying. It's got 8% power left. I should probably plug it in, shouldn't I, chat? Oh well. Anyway, what are you guys doing at home? Anything interesting? Anything of nothing? Like, are you keeping yourself nice and busy and occupied? Are you sat bored watching this? You wishing you could be here? Have you got hay fever? What's the plan? What's the plan? And I'm just trying to plug this laptop in, so bear with me. 2 ticks, chat. I think the rattling gun just kill itself. We'll check on the tabletop in a second. That's one way to get rid of some Storm Fiends. Let them kill themselves instead of you kill them. Thank God for cables the size of the world as well. Shouldn't really be putting a bag on top of that, considering there's a radiator in there. Building Zangor. Nice, Gary. Building Zangor. Wishing I could hit an event. Sitting on a sofa with a lost voice. Unfortunate. I am going to lose my voice this weekend. I can almost guarantee that. We're at a 1 and 2k list for Sister Battle. Just out now for D&D. Well, Berserk, enjoy D&D. Thank you very much for joining us here today. Appreciate you being here. See you in what the kids call a bizzle. Hey, Ashworth, how's it going? Where are you guys based? I myself am based around the Chesterfield area. Kerry based around Nottingham, and we are currently streaming the Quest of Champions Heat 3, hosted at Sanctuary Gaming in Sutton and Ashfield. If you are ever in a position to come on down to Sanctuary Gaming, do so. It is a gorgeous venue. Really well kept. Rich and Dave, the owners, absolutely lovely men, and are very welcoming, and the atmosphere and general vibes of this place unphenomenal. Also home to the studio of Hellstorm Wargaming on YouTube. Him and Hellstorm Louis in the chat have started doing a load more Age of Sigmar content, which is really nice to see. Stop stepping on my turf. No, I'm joking. And they also do some cracking 40k content, so if you are interested and do live events, they recently covered Goonhammer's 40k. So if you're interested, go and head out Hellstorm Wargaming and have a look at them on YouTube. They stream on YouTube. Duncan, you don't want to be charging those Storm Fiends off that objective. Doesn't manage to clear all of those Harridans off his own objective, unfortunately. And Daniel just playing for this point. So 11 points there. But Duncan doesn't get his battle tactic, unfortunately. Louis, feel free to link the channel if you want to. Or if I've got a mod in here that would like to do such, you can find Hellstorm Wargaming on YouTube and link the channel. Trying to decide what battle tactic. So Savage Spearhead chosen for Daniel there. 2 units in enemy territory. He's already got that with the Cruciator and the Dreadblade Harrow. Thank you very much. Yeah, guys, if you want to check out that content, feel free to click that link in, click that link in the chat. Also, final reminder for this game, if you want to win yourself a Horus Heresy box, the brand new box that was on pre-order today, one, if you've not pre-ordered it, ! Element in the chat, feel free to pre-order it through that link, and you can get yourself some discount, also carry some money as a referral, or you can try and win yourself one. I will be drawing a winner tomorrow at the end of Game 5. We will have a winner drawn for the box. £5 entries. Every £5 gives you more entries. Or you can email for free. Use either !HH or !Heresy. I lock myself in here. Nobody can come in now. I'm here on my own. Locked inside my little... I'm going to say womb. But it's more of a room than a womb. Sorry. Awful joke, awful joke. Okay, so we have gone with Savage Spearhead. We've got the Cruciator. We've got the Dreadblade Harrow. The Harridans are coming back just to try and do some form of damage here onto those Storm Fiends along with the Spirit Hosts. And then the Mimorn's also going in. You might as well try and go for the total annihilation. Yeah. Unfortunate from Duncan, and fortunate for Daniel, but also well played by both players here. They've both made mistakes. They've both made excellent plays. It's been nice to see. Duncan very nearly six-headed his way out of this situation. Unfortunately, a 7-inch charge came in clutch there for Daniel to pretty much secure the game. Wishing I was there this weekend, but earning Mrs. points as it was her birthday yesterday. And you want to go to a war boot tomorrow. Supporting the rest of GAF from a distance. Well, I can tell you, there is an absolute slew of pink and black shirts for the Grand Alliance Friendship roaming around here. And then there is Team England's Toby, who I think is still part. Is he formerly GAF, Louis, or is he actually part of GAF still? Is he just too good for GAF? Like, what's the plan? What's the jig? Is it up? That's the question. So some Banshees coming in here, making that nice little charge. Might as well get as much in as you can. He is gaff, but just too good for us at the moment. Still thinks he's a god. Fair play. He is world champion. No, he's world team champion. He's not world champion. There you go. He is world team champion, not individual world champion. So I think what Daniel is trying to do here is charge as many units in to give him as many opportunities to get that 12 on the or the 11 or 12 to try and get the fight last here on the Storm Fiends. It's a 10 plus to fight last. Louis, of course it does. You are now champion. Congratulations. Well done. Congratulations, my dude. The Bombardier is going to stand and shoot and blow himself up on the way in. Yeah, that's fine, Louis. I'll get a signature from you, please. Can you sign my forehead? Thanks. 8 damage into the Cruciator. The moral victory, at least, there for Duncan. Killing the Cruciator in on the stand and shoot or the Unleash Hell. Oh. Maybe you can give some out as a competition. Sure. To nobody. There is no actual way to enter that competition. But we are going to be running a competition where you can win a Hellstorm Louis signature. That was unfortunate. I mean, it means that Daniel... Oh, he already claims the objective, actually. He's not really... He's just sacrificed himself some points rather than giving Duncan anything. $12 damage? Yeah, nice. 12 damage from 4 Banshees right there. Going into the Storm Fiends. Banshees are incredible now. 105 points. For -2 rend, 2 damage each. Obviously into Thunder Lizards, nobody cares. However, they could stop a lot of the Seraphon magic, actually. Banshees. 105 points. 105 times 2 is 210, right? 210 times 4. 840 points for 8. For 32 Banshees. Oh my god. Got 3 attacks each. That's 96 dice. 96 dice at -2 down. You could potentially do 108. I wonder if Banshees are like an actual viable unit to spam. They're also £3 for 4 on eBay, I think. Really cheap. I like it. I might buy more Nighthaunt. I'll take 840 points in Banshees. Why not? I do really like the Nighthaunt book. Very tempted to buy it. We've got it on the shelf. We'll see. But we can see now that there's a couple of Storm Fiends hitting back. You did manage to clear 2 of them with the Banshees attacks themselves. But that is fair play. See, the problem with the Banshees is they're squishy, right? But they've done 12 damage on the way in. So shot gauntlets into the Harridans, everything else into the other guys. But Daniel can safely rest on his laurels that he does have a win. Going into turn 5. Damn. I was really rooting for the 6-head play, I'm not gonna lie. So we're gonna see Daniel's turn. Won't get Savage Spearhead. But he will get 3 points. 1 for hold. Sorry, should get 6 points because he still technically holds Duncan's objective. But something really simple here for Daniel, if he gets turn 5, is you physically run this guy here to stop any cheeky redeploys. You retreat these over this way. Charge this if you can. Score yourself a full complement of points and just try and rack up as much as you can. Couple more Banshees dying here. No command points left for Daniel. Be able to track them, unfortunately. Oh, sorry, to keep them alive. They are bravery 10, but they have lost an awful lot of models. Nice. And slow going here for the final sort of sections of the turn. There is plenty of time left in the round, I believe. Lunch today is 12:30, so there's still 40 minutes left of the round. Plenty of time for the players here to windle their way through turns 4 and 5. We can see another Storm Fiend has felled, and there is a piling move there from the Spirit Hosts onto the objective to claim it back. So we are not as good as I hoped, says Daniel. In turn 5, the man literally just gets as many VPs as possible and wins the game. Come on. There we go. Yep, doesn't get the battle tactic. The player's just setting out there. So turn 5 prio. This is not a big one. Oh, Battle Shock first. Two Storm Fiends run away in Battle Shock. Duncan, man, this is just... This is ridiculous. I think Daniel takes this turn. You easily take this turn, mate. Daniel, it's turn 5. Take the turn. Score the full points. Yeah. Bold move. Finest hour chord on the Bombardier. Yep. They're just going through now. What is going on with the players here? And how it's going. There's 30 to 11. Daniel takes the point. He will score. Hold the enemies. Hold his own. Hold the 2. So we're looking at another 5, 7 points just on the primary objectives. Potentially getting another 2 points from his battle tactic. Taking to another 10 points.
ferocious advance has been claimed. You've got your Nighthaunt faction ones, mate. That'll be 2 seconds, chat. Hold on. Think of elevator music. Overwhelmed with Dread has been chosen as the battle tactic. This is the one from the Nighthaunt, or one of the ones from the Nighthaunt book. There's actually so many in that book. And it's basically, he needs to get all 3 effects on a single unit. So he's hoping for a charge of a 4 to 7, an 8 to 9, and a 10 plus. All 3 effects. Is that on a single unit? Overwhelmed battle tactics. One enemy unit on the battlefield and is affected by them all. The Storm Fiend has been selected. That's the 8 achieved. He needs the 10. That's the 4 retrieved. Just needs a 10. And he gets it. Oh, what a lucky little monkey. Yep, that's the family-friendly version of what I actually want to say. But what a lucky monkey. Which means strike last. That poor Storm Fiend. Along with other stuff as well. Duncan saying, yeah, to save you rolling the dice, I'll take him off. I'm fighting last. Getting +1 to hit and wound. You're doing all of this sort of stuff. We'll just take him off. Why not? It is Gary, but if you can charge 700 units... right off flight. Picked here as the grand strategy for Daniel. Which is when the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if there are no enemy units within 6 inches of any friendly units that are contesting an objective. Might as well play the last turn. Slay the Warlord. Doesn't even get the CP. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. Well, that is turn 5 complete. Daniel getting the full complement of points that he could available to him in this particular turn. Absolutely wonderful display of being able to roll dice. And then Duncan coming in. A redeploy just off the edge of that so that the grand strategy is achieved there from Daniel as well. And it will end roughly akin 11 to 40, I believe. Or something similar. A charge roll coming in there to see what happens. What time are we on? Just about 12 o'clock. Thank you very much, everybody, joining us. 2 hours and 40 minutes of live stream here. The tavern music is still going. Good work. Olinda getting shot off. Turn 1. A summary of the game. Duncan had priority, gave it over to Daniel, deployed relatively reserved. Daniel then proceeded to press up onto the main objectives as much as he could. Duncan then managed to wean off a turn. In turn 1, sorry, he shot off Olinda. Some other stuff. We see the handshake there from the players. Indeed, ending 11-40. Oh, sorry, 11-39. Oh, he didn't put his battle tactic up. 11-42. There you go. And then we've seen a bit of a dance between the Stormfiends and the Harridans, swirling around each other in the melee. Stormfiends proving their capability by lifting unit of 20 like it was paper in the wind, and then proceeding to get slowly whittled down by a mixture of Harridans, Mimorns, and stuff. So we've seen the brand new Nighthaunt book versus the Skaven book. There. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me here for game number 1 of the day. That is it. Daniel does indeed take the win. 42 victory points to 11. I just want to say a massive thank you guys for sticking around. We are going to be taking lunch now, but we will be back at 1:15 for game number 2. Thank you very much. Enjoy yourselves, and I'll see you at 1:15.